Hello, everybody. It's me, it's me, James Clean Air 61, and today we're reading this book called Thomas and Friends wrote. We're celebrating the 60 years of Thomas and Friends. And it was, I think it was like 2005. Oh, wait. By who? I don't know who made it. I don't know who wrote it. But that's another thing. Thomas is a tank engine who's small and short and blue. He sometimes causes mischief, but his heart is good and true. Engines don't have hearts, you say, and that's very smart, but Thomas, good-natured, proves he doesn't need a heart. For those with hearts are good and kind. They help when times are tough. They stick by friends and those in need, and cannot give enough. They listen when they are spoken to and try to do their best. They know there is time to work real hard, and time to play and rest. So Thomas doesn't have a heart, but he's all of this. Good, hard, working, smart, and kind. He's always aims to please, and on his branch line, back and forth, he's loyal. The end, and with his boiler, he's still a really good friend. Who's the one who's most to be sure that services is first rate? Who cheers the trains when they are on time and chides them when they are late? Who keeps the branch line safe and sound and makes sure mail gets through? Who's the one who runs the rails? Stir Chop and Pat. That's who. Gordon, part 1. Here comes Gordon. Big and strong, he's pulling the express along. There goes Gordon. He hasn't time to linger while we read this line. Gordon is very big. He's the biggest and he's very fast. But he's the fastest and the fattest. He's very fat. As you see, he's very fast, but he's very fat and big. Fat TV. But now, getting back on topic, let's go with Trevor. Trevor was an old, and one day he was sold for scrap, which made him quite sad. Thomas wasn't amused. He thought Trevor ill-used, and this made Thomas mad. But then, Thomas thought, I know help is short at the vicar's orchard and farm. So Thomas implied Trevor ought to be tried. He surely can't do any harm. Well, the vicar adored him, and he implored him to stay and assist with the chores. And now I'm guessing that Trevor is blazing doing work that I know he adores. But actually, it wasn't Thomas. It was Edward. There was like a season 2 episode called I don't remember, but Edward it wasn't Thomas. It was Edward who saved Trevor from the scrapyard. Now, Cranky. Off the train onto the ship. The crates and barrels must not slip. Off the ship onto the train. The sun, the snow, the rain. Back and forth and to and fro. He has no wheels. He cannot go. Day in, day out, the whole year through. Wouldn't you be cranky too? soldier who loves to unload every ship of the sea. Yo ho! And the bucket of prawns. He's old and he's rusty, but smart as can be. Heave ho with that bucket of prawns. With troublesome trucks, he always gets through. Yo ho, and the barrel of clams. They always will mind him to give him his due. Heave ho with that barrel of clams. He knows the sea chanties and many tall tales. Yo ho, and a shipload of crabs. And every trick for a life on the rails. Heave ho with that shipload of crabs. When up at the quarry, he yearns for the sea. Yo ho, and the net full of fish, but down at the harbor, he's glad as can be. Heave ho with that net full of fish. Prawns, clams, crabs, fish, salty sense, hearty wish. Bulstrode. Bulstrode is a hefty barge who carries cargo in when he arrives. The harbor thrives, a new day can begin. The work slow in, but it's stormy out at sea, and ships can't get to shore. The work slows down and sailors frown until clear ones. John, twin engines from Scotland. Did you know, guys, that Scotland is not a country? It's part of the UK. Are we as alike as two engines can be? Through our numbers, the same just aren't the same. We're identical, as you can see. Each other will say, this of the other I like to stay close to my brother. So bring on the freight, or the passengers greet, as long as we are near to one each other. The breakdown train. The breakdown train, he has no name. He's quiet, strong, and spare. But if there's a crash and trains go smash, the breakdown train is there. Spencer. Spencer Silver, sleek and strong, pulls a private car along on the suspension bridge so high Spencer almost seems to fall. Harold a helicopter, chop chop chop, flies so high. Chop chop chop, looks down on Soder, chop chop chop. From up in the sky, chop chop chop, he goes faster, chop chop chop. Than most trains, chop chop chop, and doesn't get stuck, chop chop chop. If it snows or rains, chop chop chop. Surveying all chop chop chop. From the air, chop chop chop, he soars around, chop chop chop, without care, chop chop chop. But when he lands, chop chop chop, it's funny that chop chop chop. What's flying now? Blah 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 blah. Chop chop chop. Easter Topham's hat. Indian Clerical. Every day, in every weather, following Thomas. Linked together, carrying passengers and their freight. Together, handling lots of weight. Up hills and down hills. In country and town. Flash Thomas blue and then our sleek brown. Our branch line is bossy and keeps us on track. Always together, back to back. Annie sees forward as soon as we started, while Clarabelle sees where we've just departed. Bertie, faster wheels, round and round. To Wellsworth Station. I am bound. Honk honk. Make way. I have stops to make today. Wah wah. Babies hush. Don't cry. I'm in a rush. Vroom vroom. Beep beep. There's a schedule I must keep. Crossing stamp. Boo boo. Boo-hoo. Thomas goes to Wellsworth too. Stop again. No fair. I really want to beat him there. Hurry, driver. Please give me chase. Who do you think will win the race? Bill and Ben. Bill and Ben as twins. Would you like to play a trick or two? They look alike, and for some fun, pretended to be other one. And so, when bored, Bill often will, and so, when bored, Bill often will, says his Ben, and Ben his Bill back and forth. These two will go, and which is which, you just don't know. At least you're who's who, and then Bill says, I am Bill, and Ben, I'm Ben. The pairs is still, and Bill is Bill, and Ben is Ben. But until when? George, the steamroller, wants to turn rails into roads. Railways are no good.
This is evil, George.
That one George's driver, I don't know. George sees such a bad steamroller. Terrence, tilling fields and plowing roads. He's sturdy, if not fast. He whistles at his engine friends as they go rushing past. He cannot pull a railway car and doesn't push a truck. But Terrence comes in mighty handy when an engine's stuck. His splendid caterpillar wheels are great for mud or snow. And when he's finished helping out, back to the farm he'll go. Gordon, Carter too, always rushing, racing by. Gordon almost seems to fly, even speedy up a hill. Going down, he's faster still, nearing, passing, beep, and then whoosh. Hey, there he goes again. Old engines, Renee's. No, sorry. Number one. Carlowin number one. Scarlow is old. Ward has retired. His new one seems like fun. Scarlow laughs, I'm oldest of all, and which still outlasts Renee's number two. Renee's is an engine who's mighty proud to say, I'm old, but still I can carry folks to market every day. 300, number 3. One old engine. 300 can be difficult, bad temper. His name reminds me of a country in South Asia called Sri Lanka. 300 and Sri Lanka sound very similar. But let's go change. Let's go to the Asian map. Let's go to our map, and right here, this island country, Sri Lanka. Sir Handel can be difficult, bad-tempered, don't you know? But if you give him lots of coal without much fuse, he'll go. Stepney's kind, Stepney number 55. But remember, Stepney is not a narrow gauge engine. He's a standard engine. The standard gauge engine. He's a bigger than these three. Stepney stands one and all. The reason for his cheer, he almost ended up as scrap. He is grateful to be there. One engine goes to market, one works extra hard, one engine is a grump, and one engine is a gourd. These four engines beep 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 back home to the yard. Edward. Oh, Edward, Blue, may I ride with you and do things you've done, and see the sights of the days and nights, and learn of work and fun despite your size. You are so wise and so very true. I hope someday someone will say I'm like Edward Blue. Emily, independent Emily, has a lot to prove. She's the only female Steamy and she's always on the move. If Thomas can shunt 3 freight cars, Emily can shunt 4. If Thomas wants to make 2 trips, then Emily wants more. Anything that Thomas does, she feels like she can do better. If Thomas gets caught in the rain, then Emily gets wetter. It's wetter. Thomas likes to tease her. You're a bossy little buffalo. But Thomas knows that for her size, no engine could be together. And so they love to play it out. Like sisters against brother, they really like to think of ways to challenge one another. But if some others MR engines ever tries to pick a flight, Emily and Thomas will instantly unite. The search of Manhattan was hard. Henry's very, how do you say? Henry is very long. The Ballad of Henry. Henry is handsome, but Henry was vain. He never liked getting stuck in the rain. Henry would stay off his beautiful chin. I'm the handsomest engine you've ever seen. Yes, the shiniest engine that ever was made. My coal must be of the highest high grade. But when he gets snotty, the other trains say, don't forget, Henry, being vain doesn't pay. The others remember that wood dreary fall when Henry was being proudest of all. He was traveling fast and his cars all were full. Of passengers, which Henry just loved to pull. The journey was fine, but here is the rain. Cold. Rain. On this cloudy day, it started to sprinkle. I mustn't get wet, Henry whined to the ward. My beautiful paint job will surely be married. My beautiful paint job will surely be married. Though silly old Henry was blinded by pride, so he entered a tunnel and stopped just inside. "What's going on?" called the riders and crew. "We have places to be and big things to do." But Henry was firm. "I'm staying inside," and he wouldn't hear his passengers cried. They pushed and they pulled. They begged the cajoled, but Henry just would not do